how's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing well today. My name is Spencer Urquhart, sports writer at the Acadiana Advocate. Hope y'all are all doing well. We are here today for the Raging Cajuns pregame show presented by CLB, the community bank, Lafayette's newest community bank. So today the Cajuns are at home once again, taking on South Alabama. Kickoff scheduled here for 1 p.m. We're doing our pregame show an hour prior per usual, and we'll be having on once again our guest Kevin Foote, sports editor for the Acadiana Advocate, as well as Andre Higginbotham from CLB, the community bank. So before we get to them, we'll do have a little quick rundown here. The Cajuns enter this game in first place in the Sun Belt West, 6-1, 4-1 in conference play. And the South Alabama Jags coming in to Cajun Field, 3-4, 2-2 in Sun Belt Conference play. This is a big game for the Cajuns here because South Al appears to be their biggest threat in the Sun Belt Conference West. Because, I mean, if they can secure the win here this afternoon, the West is clinched. It'll be the third straight Sun Belt West division title for the Cajuns. So Coach Billy Napier and the guys really doing their thing, taking care of business in conference play. And so the hope is that trend will continue here today. So let's bring Kevin on, our Raging Cajuns beat writer, sports editor, Kevin Foote. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Howdy. Well, I heard you mention the importance of this, and one of the things that we've talked about it is impressive is that since Coach Napier's been here, they've never lost to a West Division team, and if that can continue, then we'll for a while there we thinking, well, you're heading to Conway, but the more you look at the schedules, it's still up in the air, assuming the Cajuns win this game, where they could go. I mean, it's still very realistic. If App can, well, first of all, they have to play first with all this COVID stuff going on. But if App can beat Coastal, App still got a lot of tough games left to play. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the championship game could be right here at Cajun Field. But first things first, Cajuns have to win today.
Right on. So what do you feel? Yeah, definitely gotta win today. This is a huge one. What do you feel would be some of the biggest keys to the Cajuns getting it done here today?
Well, to me, it's a very interesting game to handicap, because if you look at recent history, and even Coach Napier said it in his Zoom Wednesday, that history is the best indicator of the future. Well, the teams, this has been a series where both programs in recent years have really run for a lot of yards, like a lot of yards. Last year, South Alabama ran for over 350 yards in the game against the Cajuns, and they were able to win. And even this week, Coach Napier said it was kind of embarrassing how much they physically handled the Cajuns. And they had pretty healthy total yards edge over the Cajuns in each of the last two seasons. And the ironic thing is the Cajuns won both of those games by 10 points and 8 points, I think it was. But they were able to overcome it, but they got chopped up on the ground. Now, with that said, both of these teams are better defensively this year. And better than last year, and better defensively than their fellow offenses. So, South Al's only running for about 119 a game right now, and the Cajuns are giving up under 200 yards, and South Alabama's defense is giving well up to under 200 yards. So, on paper, it's hard to imagine that either one of these running games is just going to run roughshod over the other. But the recent history is that happens every year. And so we'll see how that works out. But stopping the run is the number one thing the Cajuns defense needs to do.
Right on. So for the Cajuns, I mean, we talk about them every week, the three-headed monster of Regis, Mitchell, and Chris Smith. Do you feel like they'll be able to once again do their thing and have another big day here?
Well, it wasn't as much last week, but they've tried to get Chris Smith more involved in the passing game. And I'm wondering if they're going to do their fair share of running, no question, because that's the base of what they do on offense. But I'm wondering if throwing to them is going to be more effective today. We'll see how it plays out. And, usually we call them a three-headed monster, but usually it's one, maybe two that do real well. And you just never know from week to week who that's going to be. And so recently it was Trey, and that worked out great. But we'll see. I think it seems like defenses this year, and maybe it's just coincidence, have really focused on stopping Mitchell. Like he gets hit in the backfield way more than before he even gets to the line of scrimmage, way more than I remember last year. It seemed like defenses are really collapsing on him. So the other thing that's going to be good is we've seen recently where last year he didn't run as much. Levi's run more in the last 3 or 4 games. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on how much that plays in today's game plan against a very physical South Alabama defense. We all remember and have seen how good Coastal's offense has done all year. And remember, they held Coastal to their lowest point total last week, only 23 points. Now, they only scored 6, but they only give up 23 to a really good Coastal offense. So this is a legitimately good defensive team. We'll see how the Cajuns do.
No doubt about that. Yeah, this should be a really good test for Levi and those guys. And we were talking earlier, and you had said about how Levi was saying about they've started off slow a lot this year because of what they see on film doesn't actually transpire to game time. So do you feel like, though, this could be the day that maybe they could finally kind of jump up early?
Hopefully, I did a column this week, theadvocate.com, and in the paper, the Acadiana Advocate, that, I wonder how important this whole starting fast thing is. And I kind of looked into it, and I looked at first drives. The Cajuns have only scored points in of the 7 games they played so far. They've only scored points twice in their first drives of the game. One of them was the game they lost. So, I don't know how much that has to do with how important the first drives is. And I also looked into the play calling. That in those 42 plays, 23 of them were runs and 19 were passes. So it's not like they're throwing a lot. They're running the ball a lot more. I think some people were concerned, including myself, and maybe they're doing a little too much running early and they need to be doing more passing to set up the run. And yet it wasn't that far from 50-50 on all these first drives that they've had lack of success on. And I think each game is probably a little bit different. But the thing that Levi said that I thought was interesting in Wednesday's Zoom. He said that in almost every game this year, the opposing defenses are coming out in schemes that they did not show on film. In other words, they're throwing curveballs. And no matter who you are, if you prepare all week for something and you don't see it, it takes a while. If you're the Saints, it takes till the fourth quarter in the playoff game against the Vikings last year, for example. And it took way too long. They still should have won, but the Vikings threw a curveball on them, and it took them 3 quarters before they really figured it out. And in a lot of these games this year, it's taken 2 to 3 quarters for the Cajuns to do it, but they have done it, and they've won all but one game. So that maybe we're being a little too critical of the offense about the early drives, and we'll see what they can do today. And maybe we'll find out if South Al is doing gives them a little bit more of what they've seen on film all year.
For sure. Yeah, and then Levi had his big announcement this week. We'll return to the Cajuns next season. So I guess I know it's not affecting like anything this season, but I guess it's kind of like, do you feel like maybe that'll give him like maybe a little more breathing room, knowing that he's locked in?
The funniest thing is when I tweeted that out, someone from Appalachian State tweeted out, "Man, we're going to see this kid 9 times before he graduates." It's like, is this guy ever going to graduate? And obviously, App has had a lot of success team-wise because the Cajuns have never beaten him. But no, I remember years ago in basketball when you have guys like Kevin Brooks and Aaron Mitchell that started every game for like 4 years. Like the other teams probably said, "Man, are these people ever going to graduate?" But no, I think it's good. There's some people that are not Levi's biggest fans, but he's the no question leader of this team. He's highly respected, and look at his winning percentage. The most, whether you're talking about high school, college, or the NFL, yeah, putting up big numbers is one thing, but the important thing is not making crucial mistakes and winning games. And he's done a great job of not making too many crucial mistakes at big times. He performs very well in the fourth quarter, which is what you want from a quarterback. And he's running more now, which is good. And he's going to, he's not like they don't have a passing game. He's going to finish real in the top probably 2 or 3 of all the passing records in program history. So I think it's a great thing. Yes.
Good deal. So yeah, we've touched on the offense a lot. I guess to kind of wrap it up here, the defense, the defense, just how you feel and they match up against South Al. I know earlier you had mentioned about how South Al is a good running game. So do you feel like the defense will be able to slow that down, and also the passing game, so they may be able to kind of do both, stop the run and the pass?
Coach Napier said this week he thinks the strength of the South Alabama team is in the trenches on both sides, but obviously he's seen them on film and I haven't, but I'm just looking at numbers. And as I said, they're only running for 119 yards a game. Now, there's a lot of reasons sometimes that happens. Sometimes it could be the offensive line is not as good. Sometimes it could be, I don't think they've been way behind in games. So I can't believe that's really the deal, because they played pretty competitively all year. But they don't have great rushing numbers, and they've given up 23 sacks on the season. So, the Cajuns have only given up, I don't have it right in front of me, but like 8 or 9 sacks all year in 7 games. So, and one of the leaders in the country on that. So I think the defensive front, if they can just not get gashed in the running game like they have the last 2 years, where they've given up almost 600 rushing yards in the last 2 games against South Al, I think they can put some pressure on the quarterback. The big key is not letting them, what Coastal did so well is they were constantly in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1. If the Cajuns can get South Al's offense in a lot of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s, then I think they can sack the quarterback and continue to make interceptions and force turnovers. And that could mean maybe a little more cushion in going into the 4th quarter than this team is used to.
For sure. Troy Thibodeau says, hey.
Well, Troy's Dolphins have a big game tomorrow. A very interesting game with the Chargers. So Troy is and his Bro Bridge Tigers won last night.
Sure, yeah, they might make the playoffs. That'd be something.
Maybe Bro Bridge needs to schedule more teams from north of I-12.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe that'll be the trick. But yeah, so I guess one more thing. Who's the Cajuns kicker? Will it be Kenny?
I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's an interesting aspect of this game. It's kind of, when you're rooting for a team, or you're the coach of a team or the quarterback of an offense, you want to score touchdowns every time you score. I don't think scoring a touchdown every time they get the ball today is the overall long term. I think I'm hoping for their sake they get at least 1 or 2 field goal attempts. They need to determine who their kicker is. Right now, if you had to guess, it would be Kenny Almaderas. He looked great last week. Went out and kicked, a 35-yarder and a 45-yarder or 43-yarder, something like that, and made it look easy. If he could do that again once or twice in this game, then they might be able to lock him in as the kicker. And we're getting late in the year now, and so they need to know who their kicker is. And it's very important to be able to know that and to have confidence that he can make 35-yarders and 30-yarders and 38-yard range field goals. And hopefully he does well today and they can get that solidified.
Right on. And then to cap it off, what's your final score pick?
My final score pick was the lowest of the season so far. I went with 23-13 Cajuns.
Right on.
So we'll
see.
All right,
Kevin. Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good. Should be a good one.
Y'all have a good day.
Field. Enjoy it.
All right.
Good deal. Always good hearing from Kevin there at live at Cajun Field. Ready to see what the Cajuns can do. Yeah, 23-13. That's a pretty low score prediction. But it wouldn't surprise me if that would be the case, since both teams are running teams pretty strong on defense. So now let's add in Andre from CLB, the Community Bank. How's it going, man?
Hey, Spencer. Good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. So you got Coach Napier in the back there.
Yeah, we're coming to you live with Coach Napier, and over here with the UO Watch Party. He's busy on the radio, so I'll be speaking for him today.
Gotcha. Good deal, man. Yeah, so y'all got the watch party going on. Always good to see. Yeah. It's still kind of limited capacity at Cajun Field.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess just to start it off, just how are y'all feeling about this game? Y'all feel like this will be the game to decide the West. So you feeling confident that the Cajuns will get it done?
Yeah, I feel a lot of the things that Kevin said, especially about you all starting slow. We've had a lot of slow starts this year, which means our defense had to keep us in the game so that our offense can make some adjustments to come back later in the game. We saw that a lot this season, and we saw it again last week where we didn't score in the first half, and we didn't come back with 27 points in the second half. So we definitely made some adjustments.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm thinking. Levi's back. Levi locked in for his senior season. So just how y'all feel knowing that are y'all glad that he's back? Being that he's a senior leader to rock.
Yeah, and Kevin mentioned it, and I'll expand on that a little bit. Levi's got over 1,600 passing yards for the season, so he's ranked first in Sun Belt, and then top 20 nationally. So that's something you're got to get excited about. So hopefully he can maybe get a little faster start this week and not hold us to the old cardiac Cajun mantra like we did last week.
Right. Yeah. He said a lot of times these defenses they watch the film, which I know Coach Napier and the coaches have them prepared and ready to go. It's just defenses have been really throwing them for curves, though. They come out in these, what he described as just totally different formations than what they see on film. So you're all confident that they'll be able to make the necessary adjustments to pull off a good result here today.
Yeah, Coach, he told us right before we went live, he said, what we're focused on is the consistency of performance. We still haven't played a complete game and put it all together. And then specifically about South Alabama, he said, these guys are big, fast, and physical. They play extremely hard, and they've continued to improve. So this will be a big challenge and certainly have a lot of implications to the big picture, meaning, of course, Sun Belt Conference Championship.
Right on. And so, yeah,
probably one of the best defensive lines we're going to face this week. These guys are good, and I think their coach is Stewart. That used to be he used to be our defensive coordinator before HUD fired him several years ago, and he is going to dare us to run on him. He's going to bring those safeties in, and he's going to dare us to run on him. So that's going to get Peter LeBlanc and some of these receivers open, and I think that could be a key point to this game. If they stack the box and bring those safeties in, Levi's going to have to read that correctly. And I hope he runs a little bit more because he's been very effective when he's doing that. Because you can't just hand it off to Regas every time because they're going to just stack that box and hit him at the line. So if Levi can make the right reads, hit his receivers, my prediction is 21-7. I think we're going to do well today and maybe play a complete game now that we finally have a kicker that can kick.
Right on, most definitely. Y'all feeling good about Kenny Almendaris? Y'all think he's the kicker going forward?
I think he's the guy, man. He came in and did it last week.
For sure.
He's a good punter, too. The Australian punter, that guy's good. He can drop it on the 5. So I think the key to this game is going to be for Levi to be able to read that option correctly and hit those receivers when he needs to, because that Stewart's going to put everybody in the box, force him to throw, and or keep the ball and run around the end, But I think that's going to be key to this game.
Yeah, he had a rushing touchdown last game, so it's good to see
exactly
move with the ball.
Right. Yeah, Foot was saying about getting the running backs involved in the passing game too. So I definitely think it could be a game where Levi shines with, like y'all had mentioned about the stacked boxes. So if those boxes are stacked, like coaches always say, take what the defense gives you. And if they're giving the Cajuns wide open receivers, then that's what they'll have to execute, I feel like.
Yeah. And with Elijah averaging 83 yards a game, I mean, hopefully he can find some holes and get through them. And Regas, I looked up, he's 73 yards from 4th place in rushing yards in school history.
And hats off to Coach Napier. With all the COVID you hear on TV, everybody's bought into his deal here, and they still have 0 COVID on that team. And he talked to the team this week, and he said it's going to be a big challenge, guys. But it's up to you to control where you go and that kind of thing, because on campus COVID's increased quite a bit. But UL's football team is buying into him, and this guy is very humble. In the quarterback club that we go to, he never takes praise for himself. It's always a group effort. The whole coaching staff, that guy's really humble coach. He's done a great job.
Right on. That's always what you like to hear. Definitely, for sure. Just because it's football is all about camaraderie and working as a team. You've got so many guys on the field at once, such a huge coaching staff, and you need a guy like Coach Napier, or someone that's humble and in control as well, like assertive yet humble. Somebody that can guide that ship. I mean, the football is it's wild out there. And but the Cajuns have been navigating the waters well during this crazy COVID time. They had a COVID scare. When was that? A few weeks ago, maybe, like slightly, but nothing too bad though. They only had a couple guys out. Now they're 100%. Very few teams these days are 100%, and so that's a great testament to Coach Napier and the staff.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and he said they buy into what he's doing. You cannot lie to those young kids, and so they're all buying into his program and what he's trying to accomplish here. And it's scary what he could have next year with everybody coming back. So should be an interesting time with Levi back and everything else.
And how about we're ranked again?
Yeah, that's great.
We're ranked in the top 25.
Yes, and
we play a perfect game, which we haven't done yet. This could be a long day for South Alabama, especially on Andre's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Andre.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah, if we can get the defense, I agree with Kevin. I think we can keep it a low-scoring game on their part, and they're going to try to do the same on our part. Their quarterback's got a 70% completion percentage, so we just got to get our defense to keep that momentum up. We had some good interceptions last week, so we just got to keep that momentum going.
Right. What's your final score pick, Andre?
I'm going to say 24-17.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of. I was thinking along the lines of that too. Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be fairly close. I'm gonna go with 24-14. Cajuns take it. I think it'll be. I don't think they'll put up a gaudy stat line or anything, but I think they'll play a smart game. Levi's, like Kevin said, he doesn't put up the huge gaudy numbers, but he's a good leader, has a good winning percentage, which at the end of the day, that's what matters. You can throw for 500 yards, but if you're not winning games, what's that matter at the end of the day? So yeah, I think we'll be in good hands.
And not making mistakes, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
Interception last week, but he's been pretty good in not making big mistakes.
We seem to wear teams out in the fourth quarter. Don't you see that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, one big final drive, and it looks like the defense gets so tired. Look, I would not want to tackle Trey Regis, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be kind of a gritty start. Probably it might be one of those deals where it's 7-3 at halftime or something. Might not be much going on, but I think things will pick up in the second half, and who knows? It could pop off. Let's see. We got a happy birthday wish for Andre.
Yeah, we didn't take the lead in the last week's game until 2 minutes left in the game.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully it won't be like they always say a cardiac Cajuns, that's been the theme, But I mean, it could continue. I mean, a win's a win. So if that's the case, then it is what it is. But I mean, it would always feel, I guess, a little bit more relief if it could be a double-digit type win.
And Coach is still a little tied up here in the headset, but if he wants to, chime in, he can at any time he can. But he's a little busy right now for the game. So
I think like as long as we can get a cushion going into even the fourth quarter, that'd be great.
Yes, for sure. So, all right, fellas, anything else I'd like to add in?
No, I agree with you.
I think we're good. I think we're going to get this W today and then move on to the Sun Belt Championship.
Right on, hopefully so. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
All right, yes, sir. Go Cajuns. All right. Appreciate Andre and them for coming on once again. Always fun to have them. They bring great insight to the table. And so, yeah, we're just waiting for it to kick off here. A little more than 30 minutes away, 36 minutes away to be exact. So a few quick hit facts for y'all before I hop off. And also, any of y'all here questions, if y'all have game day questions, drop them in here before we sign off. The few quick hitters, though, would be the Cajuns' 5th straight victory over South Alabama and improve it to 5-0 over the Jags at home. So the Cajuns have had a really good past against the Jags. So hopefully that will continue. Troy wants to know what time is the game. The kickoff will be at 1. Kicking off at 1. So we're about 35 minutes away from kickoff. And I believe it can be streamed on ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus with Dan McDonald. And then on the radio, of course, ESPN 1420 AM with our friends Jay Walker and Gerald Broussard. Shout out to them. So yeah, Yeah, not too far from kickoff. Sunbelt Conference West action. It would improve the Cajuns to 11-0 against West opponents. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy to think how good we've been against the West under Napier. Because with Napier in charge, they've had trouble against App. App is still that team that has yet to be checked off the bucket list. But any West Division teams, the Cajuns have fared well against, and obviously can't take this one for granted. Because South Al is a solid team. They're the second best team in the West for sure. Because Arkansas State, Cajuns had a little trouble with them last week. They're a bit down this year, and then Texas State, Cajuns took care of them. ULM still on the schedule, but they're having a really down season, winless on the year. So yeah, South Al definitely the toughest competition here in the conference, in the Western Division part of the conference anyway. So yeah, should be a good one here. My final score pick 24-14. Don't expect this to be a whole lot of offense, but you never know. Could end up being a shootout. And Andre commented, a player to watch today is Joe Dillon. And I have to agree because, yeah, Joe Dillon is a really good force there, outside linebacker, really, really strong presence that he brings to the table. And it needs 2 sacks to lead in school history. Yeah, he is a force on the edge. Yeah, Joe Dillon. I actually got to meet Joe in person last year. Seemed like a really good dude. Was really nice. Introduced himself to me, and yeah, really wish Joe well. I know he's one of the key pieces to this Cardiac Cajun squad, which is making big moves, no doubt about it. So, all right, y'all. I appreciate everyone that tuned in to the Raging Cajuns pregame show here, presented by CLB, the community bank, Lafayette's newest community bank. So, I'm going to sign off here. Hope everyone enjoys the game. Go Cajuns.